Talk about something huge that's happening right now in the world of energy. We're watching a massive power shift unfold, a real game changer. It's a story about a crisis, a giant gamble, and the incredible rise of a new energy access that is completely redrawing the global map.
And it all starts with this one absolutely staggering fact. Right now, as we speak, 1/5, that's 20% of the entire world's supply of natural gas has just vanished. It's gone, wiped off the market. And that is a massive, massive disruption.
Okay, but here's where it gets really weird. In a world where a huge chunk of energy supply has just disappeared, you'd expect prices to go through the roof, right? But two of the biggest players, Russia and China, are doing the complete opposite. They're selling their gas at a huge discount. So, what on earth is going on? To understand that, we have to rewind a bit.
See, this whole thing really kicks off with a major problem Russia was having in the West. When Europe decided to stop buying Russian energy, it left Russia with a gigantic hole in its budget and a ton of oil and gas with nowhere to go.
And when I say a ton, I mean it. We are talking about 4 million barrels of oil every single day that suddenly needed a new home. Russia had to find new customers, and they had to find them like yesterday.
So this put Russia in what you might call a classic bind. They became a desperate seller. You know, they have this amazing product, but their main buyer just walked out the door. They were stuck. Their only real option? To look east, to the biggest energy user on the planet, China. But here's the thing. Just deciding to sell your gas to China when it's all the way on the other side of the continent, well, it's not that simple. It required a monumental, eye-wateringly expensive, and frankly, super risky investment. This was Russia's great pipeline gamble.
And this map really shows you what they were up against. You've got the gas fields over here that used to supply Europe, and China is way, way over there. It was a perfect match, a desperate seller and an eager buyer. But that distance, bridging that gap, was going to take one of the biggest building projects in decades.
And wow, did they move fast. Just look at this timeline. They weren't just building from scratch. They were expanding existing pipelines, starting new ones, pouring billions and billions into this massive bet that the future of energy was in the East.
And you know what? It worked. Big time. This chart shows the payoff. In 2021, Russia supplied just 10% of China's gas. By 2024, that had jumped to 25%. The gamble was paying off. But then, something happened that changed the entire game.
Suddenly, the whole global energy market was just thrown into absolute chaos. A huge, reliable pillar of the world's gas supply, the Middle East, basically disappeared overnight, and that sent shockwaves through pretty much every country on Earth. I mean, it was just one catastrophic event after another. The Strait of Hormuz, a super important shipping lane, gets closed. Then, critical LNG plants in Qatar are destroyed. And just like that 1/5 of the world's supply we talked about, it was gone. Countries everywhere started scrambling for energy. Qatar had no choice but to declare force majeure, basically telling its customers in places like Europe and Japan, sorry, we can't send you the gas we promised.
The financial hit here is just mind-boggling. The early estimates for Qatar's losses from the infrastructure damage and all the lost sales are somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 billion.
And this isn't a problem that's going away anytime soon. Even in the best-case scenario, it's going to take at least 5 years. 5 years just to repair the damage and get that gas flowing again. That is a massive, long-term energy vacuum.
So, you have this huge hole in the global energy supply. And who steps in to fill it? Well, all of a sudden, Russia's giant gamble on those pipelines starts to look like a stroke of absolute genius. They, and a well-supplied China, were in the perfect position to become Asia's new energy lifeline.
And the difference between the old way and the new way is just night and day. The old lifeline from Qatar came on ships, it's now offline, and all the deals are canceled. The new lifeline from Russia and China, it's coming through secure pipelines, supply is actually increasing, and they're offering brand new deals.
Now, this is the really critical part to understand. They weren't just stepping in to help out. No, this was a strategic power play. Their goal wasn't just to sell some extra gas. It was to use this crisis to lock in new customers all across Asia for the long haul. And this is how they're sealing the deal. This is their masterstroke. They are offering new buyers a 40% discount. Think about that. At a time of record-breaking scarcity, when prices should be astronomical, they're basically putting energy on sale.
It's an unbelievably aggressive move designed to capture the entire market, permanently. So, what does this all add up to? Well, what we're witnessing here is the birth of a brand new energy order, one that was forged in the fire of a global crisis. So let's just recap how these dominoes fell, one by one. First, Europe sanctions Russia. That forces Russia to pivot and build those massive pipelines to China. Then, just as those pipelines are coming online, the old supply chain from the Middle East collapses. And the result? This new Russia-China energy partnership becomes the only game in town for all of Asia.
And that leaves us with the one big looming question, doesn't it? This whole new energy axis was born out of a crisis. But now that it's here and they're locking in customers with these incredible discounts, we have to ask, is this the new normal? Just how permanent is this new energy order going to be?